Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about the Mississippi State Bulldogs 2022 recruiting class is our expert host, Mr. Logan Landers. How's it going, man?
What's going on, Jeremiah? Talking some more SEC recruiting here today now with the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Can't wait to see what these young guys have coming up soon.
Absolutely. And for everybody listening at home or watching live on our broadcast, thank you so much for joining us. And please tell us what it is that you love about the show. And we just want to say thank you one more time for all of the shares and all of the ways that you've been telling all your friends and family about our show. We've been able to grow so much in the last few years. And once we've added our podcast a little over a year ago, we have also been able to find another way to bring you the amazing football coverage that we bring every week. So thank you so much for watching and listening to our show. Mr. Logan Landers, Mississippi State. What do the fans have to look forward to for this upcoming recruiting class? And what is it that makes this Mississippi State team really special coming into this next year?
All right, let me pull up all of the recruits here, how they're going to help out the Bulldogs and hopefully get them back in the running, right, for some really good SEC championships in the near future. So, the Mississippi State 2022 football commits. They're ranked 24th nationally, 12th in the SEC, with head coach Mike Leach looking good. So we'll see what they can do. So for transfers, they just have one, Marcus Banks, coming over from Alabama, a cornerback. They have a couple. They have four hard commits guys who have not yet signed, but they're looking like it. Dakota Jordan, athlete, 6', 220. We have Caden Pope, wide receiver, 6'5", 175. RJ Moss, defensive lineman from Biloxi, and Davion Thomas, another wide receiver who's 5'11", 190. So we'll see if those gentlemen decide to come over and play for Mississippi State, or if they decide to move on. We'll see what their careers hold in the very immediate future. But let's get on to the guys who have already went and signed and are going to be a future Mississippi State Bulldog. Up first, we have Jackson Cannon from Ola High School in McDonough, Georgia, starting things off good already. Offensive tackle, 6'5", 310. Not ranked nationally, 3-star recruit, 105th in position, 109th in the state. Look, man, we don't care where you're ranked nationally or where you're not, what star rating you are. If you're from the state of Georgia and you're making it to any college level, we are supporting you, man. We see all the hard work you are putting in, so we support Mr. Jackson Cannon in that one. Up next, we have Calvin Dinkins from Lake High School in Lake, Mississippi. Defensive lineman, 6'2", 315. Not ranked nationally, but a 3-star recruit. 141st in his position and 28th in his state, looking good. Up next, we have a young man by the name of Jackson LaHue from Azle High School in Azle, Texas. Offensive tackle, 6'5", 285. Not ranked nationally, but a 3-star recruit nonetheless. 94th in his position, 146th in the state, looking solid. From Newton High School in Covington, Georgia, we have Davion Collins, cornerback, 6', 165. A 3-star recruit, 874th ranked nationally, 79th in his position, 88th in the state. So there we go. Jeremiah, another Georgia prospect here, looking good. We have Avery Fletch up next from Forest County Agricultural High School in Brooklyn, Mississippi. Linebacker who's 6'3", 210, looking good. 3-star recruit, 831st in his position nationally, 78th in his position as a linebacker, and 23rd in his state overall. So we'll see if he can bring the sledge, right? I'm going to go ahead and call him Sledgehammer. It just fits. So we'll see what Avery Sledgehammer can do in the near future. We have Wesley Miller, the safety, who's 5'10 and a half, 184 pounds from Heritage Academy in Columbia, Mississippi. 3-star recruit, 762nd ranked nationally, 59th in his position, and 21st, in the state of Mississippi. Looking good here. Starting getting a good mix of defensive players, getting some offensive weapons now with Janoris Hobson from Horn Lake High School in Horn Lake, Mississippi. A 5'11", 175, a 3-star recruit, 759th ranked nationally, 112th in his position, 20th out of his state. A good wide receiving prospect. Some might say a little bit shorter, 5'11", 175, but we'll see how much vertical he has, how much speed he's got, and his route running ability. That's what really makes a great wide receiver, not the size. Trent Singleton, an athlete, is up next. 6', 190, 3-star recruit, coming out of Raymond High School in Raymond, Mississippi. 738th ranked national player, 48th in his position, and 19th in the state. Looking solid here. So he did great in high school, did both sides of the ball. They're going to list him as special teams here on 24/7 Sports, but we'll see if he is going to be a special teams, weapon. If he's going to be more of a defensive player or an offensive player, we'll see where he's going to, slide in here for the Bulldogs. We have a cornerback from Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College in Perkinston, Mississippi, by the name of Carlos Nicholson. 6'3", 200 pounds even. A 3-star recruit who's 11th ranked nationally, 4th in position, and 4th in the state. So we see some teams that I personally enjoy that they go the community college route and get some of these lesser-known players, right, who are balling out in community college, give them a chance to put, to shine on a bigger level. Mm-hmm. And so we'll see what Mr. Nicholson can do. We have Donterry Russell, the edge rusher, 6'4", 200 pounds from Provine High School in Jackson, Mississippi. 3-star recruit, 548th ranked nationally, 37th in position, and 13th outstate of Mississippi. Looking good here. As you can tell, they're going very Mississippi heavy in terms of their recruiting class, and I don't blame them, right? I'm sure a lot of these guys grew up fans of Mississippi State, maybe Ole Miss, right? They're converting them over. So I think that it helps that you're kind of getting the home field advantage here with guys who want to represent their state to the best of their ability. So I think they're going great there. And speaking of Mississippi, they got another really good one here from Tupelo High School by the name of Jacarius Clayton, a defensive lineman who's 6'6.5", pretty tall, 275, 3-star recruit, 505th ranked national player, 72nd in his position, and 12th in his state. So 6'6.5", 6'7", maybe with some cleats on. That's a scary sight, right? A 6'7", I don't care what position you play in football. That's a scary thing to look at, especially on the defensive line, him bearing down, looking at the quarterbacks like he's going to eat them for lunch. That's pretty scary. So we'll see what he can do. We have Lucas Taylor, offensive lineman from St. Paul's Episcopal out of Mobile, Alabama, 6'5", 310, 469th ranked national player, 21st in position, 20th in the state, of 3-star recruit. Looking good here. Like the size of the young man, since he is a 3-star, they're probably going to have to groom him, right, to work with him a little bit. Maybe his footwork isn't the best. Maybe his hands need some work. But if they treat him right, if they work good with him, I think this guy could be a good offensive lineman in the near future. We have Khalid Moore from Poplarville High School in Poplarville, Mississippi. Linebacker, 6'2", 206, a 3-star recruit, 453rd ranked national player, 46th in position, 11th in the state. Looking solid here. And he's going to be joined by Javay Gilmore from Emmett High School in Emmett, Louisiana, a 6'4", 200 pounds, the 3-star recruit, 430th ranked national player, 41st in position, 17th in the state. So we'll see how these two guys are going to fare at the linebacking core. We have Percy Lewis, offensive tackle. Good grief, 6'8", 360 from Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. A 3-star recruit, 5th ranked nationally, 3rd in the position, 1st in the state in the community college ranks. So Percy Lewis is also, they have another, along with Carlos Newton. They both played at Mississippi Gulf Community College. So he's got someone to bond with, right? He's got someone to talk with. But man, 6'8", 360. I'm surprised no one else scooped this guy up sooner. But I think Mississippi State got a good find here. We have a quarterback by the name of Braden Locke from Rockwall High School in Rockwall, Texas. 6'1", 195, a 3-star recruit, 377th ranked nationally, 24th in position, 52nd in his state. So this is the highest rated quarterback. I think the only quarterback. Yes, it is the only quarterback they've got in their recruiting class. So we'll see how he works, how he comes along, and how many snaps he's going to get as a Mississippi State Bulldog. Mm-hmm. All right, the final two, we have Travion Williams from Crystal Springs High School in Crystal Springs, Mississippi. 6'4.5", 6'5" on dating websites, 254, 4-star recruit, 253rd ranked national player, 31st in position, 6th in the state. Good size for the young man. We'll see how many sacks he can rack up, how many tackles, and how many tackles for losses, because that's the key to a good defensive lineman. And finally, the number 1 recruit here, Marquez Dortch from George County High School in Lucedale, Mississippi. Wide receiver who's 6', 175, good height, weight on him. Pretty typical for a wide receiver. A 4-star recruit, 223rd ranked national, 37th in position, 5th in his state. So overall, I think Mississippi State did a solid job. Like I said, there's a reason Coach Mike Leach has his team as a 24th ranked recruiting team for this season, 2022, this upcoming year. Right, 12th in the SEC. You might see that and be a little bit kind of taken back, but it's the SEC, man. That's where all the big recruits go. Alabama, Georgia, Florida, so on and so forth, right? And Mississippi State, they do have a good program, but they still need to build it up. And this is how you do it, right? You get a good transfer. They got the guy. They got we get his name right, Marcus Banks from Alabama, and they've went really heavy with their recruiting, with a lot of guys. In fact, 14 from Mississippi, 2 from Georgia, 2 from Louisiana, 2 from Texas, 1 from Alabama, and 1 from Tennessee. So we will see how these young guys fare. By position, 1 quarterback, 4 receivers, 4 offensive linemen, 5 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 3 defensive backs, and 2 guys on the special teams unit. So they did a good job. They covered all their bases. They got a potential, future quarterback. They have the highly rated wide receiver. They got a good bit of offensive linemen. They got some defensive linemen, some project pieces they can work on in the near future. But that's what recruiting is, right? You get these guys from high school who look good, who have good shine, or even community college, like we saw with 2 guys here. And you just got to polish them up a little bit into becoming really good college football players. And I think Mississippi State overall did a solid job here. We'll see how many of these guys end up taking the field as soon as possible. Some might have to wait their turn. But I think overall I enjoyed what Mississippi State did in this recruiting class for 2022.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like you said, it's Mississippi State, so they are ranking really well, 24th in the nation, but still kind of low on the SEC chart just because of the nature of how these things go with the SEC. I mean, it is the SEC, so you're talking about the best recruits in the nation really coming, in droves towards these teams. And so, yeah, I still would say this. Mississippi State has an excellent chance to not only compete hard in the next football year, but also to continue to build these recruiting classes year after year and build up those strong recruits. Because, something that I've always seen is when a team really starts to surge in the ranks and really starts to surge as a power team, it's because they've got a few good years of recruiting behind them, so that by the time that the next freshman class comes in, your seniors have been recruited, highly recruited and pushing themselves and building up these amazing teams so that it can have like a historic backbone, not just a single good year. And so, yeah, shout out to you, Mr. Logan Landers, for this amazing breakdown of the Mississippi State recruiting class. If everybody would please jump over and listen to our podcast. We are now streaming our podcast everywhere. You can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Amazon podcasts, and everywhere that you love to listen to podcasts. Just look up 100 Yards of Football and be sure to give us a review and tell us you're out there. It doesn't have to be a long review. It can just say, hey, I really like the show. And we would love to hear just that from you over on Apple Podcasts or anywhere that you can leave us a review, because every one of your reviews helps us tremendously to get more people listening, to get more visibility to the podcast. With over 600 episodes now out, we want everyone to know all about us, and we want everyone to go back and listen to all of our amazing classic episodes, which include interviews with legendary players, which include history specials, recruiting class specials, game day specials, incredible side notes to incredible ideas, that we just want to explore, other broadcasters. We have it all. So thank you so much for listening day after day and week after week to either our live broadcast or to our podcast. And this week, we are so thankful to have Mr. Logan Landers, who has brought you the 2022 Mississippi State recruiting class. I am your producer, Jeremiah Long, and we'll be back this evening with another